the system, we have two, mostly, this can vary, okay? 2 kidneys, 2 ureters, urinary bladder, and urethra for exit out of the body. Kidneys are considered retro, because that's back, peritoneal, peritoneum being this area of the body. They're about the size of a bar of soap. We have part in the area where we're going to see renal nerves, blood vessels, lymphatics, and ureter. This indentation right here is called the hilum. And you will see that, okay? If you look at our structure of the kidneys, because these are our adrenal glands, okay? But one needs the other, believe it or not. The structure of the kidney, we have fibrous areas, we've got some fat areas, and we've got a fibrous capsule. Very recognizable for this capsule that's making it up. So, the structure, as we begin to look into the kidneys, I'll take it apart and look at it. Do you see how it looks like, if I'm looking at this side of it, looks like it kind of goes into like a little pit, that sort of thing. And then we've got all these like little red pyramid things that are looking up. They're trying to show me red and blue, so that would be arteries and veins, okay? Kind of looks like they're going in this direction, going in towards the pit. Looks like they're kind of got some structures going around the little red pyramids. And then I see these little yellow areas at these little dips going into the pit. That yellow is supposed to be representing urine that's gotten formed, okay? This little white area that you see drawn onto here, this is representing a nephron, but the nephrons are actually microscopic, okay? They're just trying to give you a graphic of what the nephrons look like, all right? But each kidney has about 1 million of them, so they're microscopic. On this side, they're trying to show some of the pit again, the little pyramid areas, blood vessels, the little yellow areas. And so if you're looking at this, in the structure that we're seeing, do you guys remember what a sinus is? The definition of a sinus. Yes, it's like a space. Think about the sinuses that you have in your nasal area. They're spaces, they're cavities, okay? So, I have a renal sinus. Can you guess where? Yes, in this area that looks like the big pit, okay? Blood and lymph vessels are here, nerves are present, and I have some urine collecting structures that kind of dip into this area.
So is it this whole
yes.
area? Okay.
Mm-hmm. This part that looks like a huge pit.
Okay.
Okay? The cortex is going to be my outer portion, all right? The medulla is going to be my inner portion. Now, the models are not great, okay? But one of the things that if you look really close, you can see a little bit of difference in color between this inner portion that's going to be our cortex, and then this portion that has all these little red pyramids in it, that's my medulla, the inner portion, okay? They try to have a little bit it looks like they tried to make this outer portion like a little darker pink than this inner portion. It's just not that great. You got to kind of look really close for it. But trust me on this, okay? This outer rim going around like this is the cortex portion. The inner portion is the medulla, okay? Then, if I look to my inner portion, I keep pointing out the red areas. In between those red areas where it looks like pink indents into, they're termed a renal column. So it looks like my cortex area actually dips down between the red pyramids. Does everybody see that? Okay. Now, the pyramids are what I keep calling them. These renal pyramids. Kidneys on average have anywhere from 6 to 10 per kidney. All right. They're conical in shape, broad base, okay, and we got our pointed part. When I say a lobe of the kidney, I'm going to be referring to the pyramid and the cortex over top of it. So if I look at this pyramid, the cortex over top of it is I'm referring to as one lobe. Is everybody kind of following me on that? Okay. Now, we're going to have parts called the calyx. I have a minor and a major. Because of the structure that we're going to find based on our nephrons, we're going to see that a part of my nephron, okay, and the urine that it produces is going to leak that fluid into a calyx. So from the point of the duct, the collecting duct, okay, and as it flows, I'm going to reach minor first. And then a bunch, because I got 1 million per kidney, okay, my minors are going to collect into a major. See where that yellow part is? That's showing urine. And from there, urine is going to be able to make it to my ureter. Ureters are going to be able to make it to the bladder. And from the bladder, through the urethra, out the body. Now you're thinking, why is she, spending so much time on the structure? Because of what the kidneys do. Each part of this becomes important. Because I'm going to find that as I look at this tissue, one of the things I have to make sure gets returned to my body. I mentioned glucose. Another thing that becomes important for me to return back to my body is water. Now, you're thinking, water. I'm referring to the fluids, that fluid level that would be in my blood vessels. What did we say was one of the functions? If the blood of my body is a fluid material, and hopefully you remember, I'm talking about the heart, I need to make sure I stay well hydrated. Because if not, does my blood get thicker and therefore harder to move, which would put pressure on my heart and vessels. And therefore, if I keep my blood well hydrated, keeping a volume at a good amount, I lower pressure on my heart and my vessels, and I have water to help with osmolarity, movement of materials, that movement of the water, and therefore affecting fluid in my tissues. The extracellular fluid. Yes, no, maybe. Why am I kind of like trying to stress this fluid level? I don't want this nitrogen waste building up, because the particles of something are going to affect the movement of the fluid, the water. Is that correct? Because water will go from an area of high concentration to low concentration. And if I don't have enough, I'm not going to hydrate my tissues. And what's going to stay behind in my tissues? The waste. Which is why, if you're not hydrated well enough and you go get blood work done, this could come back high. People who have kidney disease, where they can't have it function correctly, are going to have this built up in their tissues.
When you say hydrated, do you mean like a lot of water?
Yes. Yes. And that becomes more important than you can imagine. Because if we do not have water that would be available, well, we're going to have some other things happen. That means my pituitary gland, the posterior side, that contains ADH, anti-diuretic hormone, is going to have to get released. We want to keep things pretty much flowing and copacetic, right? Okay, got to stay hydrated. Plus, what else can happen if you're not well hydrated?
We need to take a diuretic to make you.
Well, we want to make, now, in the cases where water is being retained too much, you got to get rid of it. Okay, that would be a diuretic, and that's how some blood pressures are treated. Because if water is being kept in, blood volumes increase, that increases pressure on the heart. So usually they can, that would of course create high blood pressure problems, affect the kidney, blah, 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 okay? And so usually one of the first ways they try to treat it is with a diuretic to get you to go to the bathroom. But under normal conditions, okay? But do you know what else can begin to happen if you don't stay well hydrated? What else can begin to happen to other areas of the body?
A lot of things.
Like what?
Your skin dries out, your hair.
Skin dry out, hair can dry out.
You become fatigued.
You become fatigued, the brain gets foggy, feel like you can't get a sentence out.
Muscles don't work as well.
Muscles don't work as well. Get lethargic, tired. Tell you another thing that'll happen that you probably don't think about. Urine gets so concentrated, it'll turn a different color, pH is different, affects the urethra, and can actually make you feel like you've got bladder infection, like a urinary tract infection. It is just how many of y'all think you drink enough water?
I haven't this week.
And then if you're out in the heat now that's coming about, with weather changing and everything, where we might think, I made the mistake, for example, of working out in my greenhouse, and I didn't carry my water with me, And I'm thinking, well, it's not really that hot outside. It's actually really comfortable in here. By that afternoon,